Welcome to this online tutorial on using the units importer in Flexcom. My name is Angus Connolly and I'm the product manager for our Flexcom software. Here's an old Flexcom project which doesn't have any unit system associated with it. On the file view you can see that the keyword files have a KEYX extension, so they're not designated as being metric or imperial. If you look at the table view, all the parameters, the column titles don't have any units associated with them. If you look at the keyword editor down below, there are some suggested units, but it doesn't really commit to being either meters or feet, so it's neither metric nor imperial. So let's just import this project into the new latest environment, which will have units. So let's go to our tools menu, migrating from older versions, and let's launch the units importer. So in the units importer we specify the input directory. The easiest way to get this is to go back into the old project, right click on the project folder, open it up in Windows Explorer. This will allow you to copy the file path. I'll just copy that there and go back into the units importer, and I'm just going to create a copy directory close by, so same location, and I'll just give it a different name, so that's on with the units. This file or this project that I'm importing is actually in metric units, because we can see that from the acceleration due to gravity is 9.8 meters per second. So I'll just select metric as opposed to imperial. Just tell the program that it's okay to assign units to the variables and click start. Okay, I need just a slightly different directory name there, so let's go 2. So the importation process is completed. There is a log file if you want to actually view what any messages that were there during the importation process. I'll just close the importer and I'll open the new project, which should be right alongside the existing one. I'll just navigate to it here. So this is the old project, this is the new one. I'll open this up and I launch the same file again. So this is the static file. So now if we look, all the keyword files have got a KEYXM extension. That means they're now metric files. You can see that in the table editor all of the input parameters have now got units associated with them. So diameters in meters, for example, axial stiffness in newtons. If you look at the keyword editor, the length of this line here is now designated as being in meters. So the importation process has been completed. If you want to stop listening now, you've learned all you need to know. At this point I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail about the use of units in general in Flexcom. For example, the riser length here is in meters. I could be more explicit and tell the program that that's actually 413 meters. If I don't specify the units explicitly, it assumes that the base units for the metric system are being used, so i.e. that would be 430 meters. That is not terribly useful, but just for clarity, it shows you that that's actually 430 meters. But if we move down to the structural properties, for example, the inner diameter here is 0.1 meters, so I could say that's explicitly 0.1. I use those angle brackets to add explicit units to it, so it could be 0.1 meters, or it could be let's say 10 centimeters, or it could be 100 millimeters. And just as you hover over any input parameter that you've given explicit units to, it tells you what the evaluated value is. So obviously 100 millimeters is equal to 0.1 meters, so that makes perfect sense. I could also say that that's roughly approximately equal to about 4 inches, so it's about 0.1 meters still, but now you can see I've got inches in there as well. So Flexcom is clever enough to understand different types of unit systems, either metric or imperial, but because I'm using a metric project, which is what I selected when I did the importation process, it expects all the units to be in metric, but I'm not precluded or prohibited from using imperial if I need to. So for any of these parameters, let's just say bending stiffness is in Newton per meter squared, I could change that to be just put on the Newton per meter squared. Sorry, just go back there, newtons per meter squared. which is fine. So this is 30,000 newtons per meter squared. But if I want to use some more meaningful values, I could drop those 3 zeros and replace that by K, which means now it's in kilonewton meters squared. But it's the same value. So using the units systems gives you much more flexibility within the project workspace. And that, I think, concludes our tutorial on the units importer. Hopefully you've gained some information from it.